The call came on a Tuesday afternoon, 3 days before my daughter's wedding. I was in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd raised Nicole alone after Richard died, arranging flowers for the rehearsal dinner when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mrs. Hartley? This is James Chen from Luminous Moments Videography. I'm working on Nicole's wedding video, and I need to speak with you in person. Today, if possible. There's something in the footage that you need to see before the wedding. The air shifted. That careful tone in his voice, the way he said, need to see, instead of you might want to see. My hands stopped moving. What kind of something? I can't discuss it over the phone, Mrs. Hartley. But it's important, very important, and time-sensitive, given the wedding is Saturday. I was at his studio in Beaverton within an hour, my heart hammering against my ribs in a way it hadn't since the doctor called about Richard's heart attack 6 years ago. James was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with the kind, careful eyes that told me he'd rather be anywhere else than delivering whatever news he had. Mrs. Hartley, I want to start by saying that I've been doing this for 8 years. I've filmed over 300 weddings. I've never, ever called a client's parent like this. He pulled up his editing software, and I saw footage of Nicole and David at their engagement party last month. The one I'd hosted at my home in West Lynn. The one that cost me $7,000. We film a lot of B-roll footage at events. Candid moments. Most of it never makes the final video. I was going through the footage from the engagement party, and I found this. He clicked play on a clip timestamped 9:47 p.m. The camera was positioned in the corner of my living room, capturing the general party atmosphere, but the audio was clear. Nicole's voice. We just need to wait until after the wedding. Once we're married, I can file. Oregon's a no-fault state. He'll have to split everything, including that inheritance from his grandmother. A male voice I didn't recognize. And your mom? The house? She's updating her will next week to include David as a beneficiary. She thinks we're going to give her grandchildren and grow old in that house. Give it 6 months after the wedding, maybe a year. Then the divorce. We split David's money, and we're set. The male voice again. Connor and Nicole, instead of David and Nicole. Has a better ring to it anyway. Nicole laughed. My daughter's laugh, the one I'd heard 10,000 times growing up, at Christmas mornings and birthday parties and graduation ceremonies. David's so boring, Connor. But he's worth $300,000. And once I'm his wife, half of that is mine, plus whatever I can get in alimony. James paused the video. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. There's more footage, he said quietly, from different angles throughout the night. I found 3 separate conversations between Nicole and this Connor person. I looked back through my footage from the engagement shoot last month, too. He's in the background of several shots. They're very comfortable with each other. I watched 2 more clips. Nicole and Connor near my garden, her hand on his chest, Connor kissing her neck, while David was visible through the window inside, talking to his parents. Nicole showing Connor something on her phone, both of them laughing. The timestamp showed this was taken while David was giving his engagement speech, talking about how Nicole was the love of his life. Who is Connor? I finally managed to ask. I did some checking. Connor Bradshaw. He's tagged in a few of Nicole's old Instagram posts from before she met David. Looks like they dated 2 years ago. The room tilted. I'd paid $55,000 for this wedding. $55,000 I'd saved from my teacher's pension and Richard's life insurance. The same money I'd been planning to use to help with a down payment on a house, back when I thought Nicole and David would build a real life together. I'd met David's parents, Tom and Susan, both retired from Intel, living in a modest home in Hillsborough. They'd been married 42 years. Susan showed me photos of David as a child, told me stories about his kindness, his work ethic. They were thrilled about the wedding, about gaining a daughter. David himself was quiet, thoughtful, an electrical engineer at a startup downtown. He'd shown me the ring he designed for Nicole, explaining how he'd chosen each element to represent parts of their relationship. The man was in love, genuinely, deeply in love. And Nicole was going to destroy him. For money. Mr. Chen, I need copies of everything. Already done. He handed me a flash drive. I'm sorry, Mrs. Hartley. I have a daughter. She's only 5, but I can't imagine. I drove home in a fog. The wedding was Saturday. Today was Tuesday. Rehearsal dinner Thursday. 48 hours to figure out what to do. I sat in my car in the driveway for 20 minutes before going inside. The same driveway where I'd taught Nicole to ride a bike, where Richard and I had painted hopscotch squares that faded over the years but never fully disappeared, where Nicole had left for college and where she'd returned so many times since, always welcomed, always loved. Inside, the house felt different, wrong, like I was seeing it for the first time. The wedding dress hanging in the spare room, the one we'd chosen together at that bridal shop in Lake Oswego. I'd cried that day, watching her in the mirror, thinking about how Richard would have loved to see this, how proud he would have been. $300,000. That's what my daughter saw when she looked at David. Not his gentle humor, not the way he held doors or asked about my day or fixed my leaking faucet without being asked. Just a number. And me? What did she see when she looked at me? The house in West Lynn, valued at $700,000. My retirement accounts, Richard's life insurance policy that I'd managed carefully, trying to make it last. My phone buzzed. Nicole, Mom, just wanted to remind you about the final fitting tomorrow at 2. You're still coming, right? Her voice was light, happy. The voice of a bride preparing for the happiest day of her life. I'll be there, sweetheart. You're the best. Love you, Mom. I couldn't say it back. For the first time in Nicole's life, those words caught in my throat. That night, I barely slept. I watched the footage again and again, each time hoping I'd misheard, misunderstood. But it was clear, calculated. Nicole had planned this. She was going to marry David, fake a marriage for a year, file for divorce, and take half his assets. And she'd mentioned my will, my house. How long was I part of this plan? At 3 a.m, I made a decision. I called my attorney, Patricia Whitmore. We'd worked together on Richard's estate, and she'd helped me update my will last year. Patricia, I need to see you first thing tomorrow morning. It's urgent. Margaret, it's 3 a.m. Are you all right? No, but I will be. I need your help. Wednesday morning, I sat in Patricia's office in downtown Portland. She listened to the audio recordings, watched the video footage, her expression growing darker with each clip. This is marriage fraud, she said finally. If Nicole goes through with this marriage with the intent to divorce for financial gain, that's legally actionable. And the fact that she's manipulating you regarding your estate? That's elder financial abuse, Margaret. What can I do? Several things. First, we revoke that will update today. Second, I recommend you hire a private investigator to document this relationship with Connor. If Nicole goes through with the wedding, David will need this evidence for divorce proceedings to avoid alimony. Third, and I know this is hard, but you need to consider whether to warn David before the wedding. I thought about David, about his parents who'd already paid for the honeymoon to Maui, about the life he thought he was starting. I want more evidence first. I need to be completely sure. Patricia nodded. I know someone. His name is Marcus Torres. He's discreet and thorough. By Thursday afternoon, Marcus had given me his preliminary report. Connor Bradshaw and Nicole had never broken up. They'd maintained a relationship throughout her entire courtship with David. Connor had keys to an apartment in the Pearl District, a one-bedroom Nicole had been renting for 18 months. The lease was in her name, but Connor stayed there 4 nights a week on average. Marcus showed me photos. Nicole arriving at the apartment Monday evening, the day after she'd told me and David she was working late at the hospital. Connor arriving an hour later with takeout. Lights on until 11 p.m., both leaving together the next morning. There were bank statements Marcus had obtained through legal channels. Nicole had been moving money into a separate account David didn't know about. Small amounts, 300 here, 500 there, 15,000 total over the past year. She's planning ahead, Marcus explained, building a financial foundation separate from David. Classic fraud pattern. I sat through the rehearsal dinner Thursday night like a ghost. The restaurant Nicole had chosen, Hearth, cost me $4,000 for 40 guests. I watched her smile at David, touch his hand, laugh at his jokes. I watched his parents raise a toast to their future. I watched David's best man tell stories about their college years, about how David had waited so long to find the right person, how happy they all were he'd found Nicole. I watched my daughter play a role, and she was convincing. "Mum, you okay?" Nicole asked during dessert. "You seem quiet." "Just emotional," I managed. "My baby's getting married." She hugged me. I felt nothing but ice. Friday morning, Nicole came to the house to get ready with her bridesmaids. They were upstairs in her old bedroom, music playing, champagne flowing at 10 a.m. I heard their laughter, their chatter about the ceremony, about how romantic the venue was, about Nicole's honeymoon plans. I was in Richard's study, the room I'd barely touched since he died. Patricia was on speakerphone. "I've drafted everything," she said. "The new will excludes Nicole entirely, except for the legal minimum Oregon requires. I've restructured your assets into an irrevocable trust with a charity designation. The house will pass to the Portland Teachers Foundation upon your death. Your retirement accounts have new beneficiaries. Nicole gets $5,000 total, not a penny more. What about now? Before I die? I've prepared eviction paperwork in case you need it. Nicole listed your address as her residence on several documents. If she refuses to leave voluntarily after you confront her, you have legal grounds. I've also prepared a cease and desist letter regarding any attempts to manipulate your financial affairs. And David? That's your call, Margaret. But legally, he has a right to know what he's walking into." I hung up and sat in Richard's chair. He died so suddenly. Heart attack at 57, no warning. We'd been married 33 years. He'd loved Nicole absolutely. Spoiled her maybe, but always with love. What would he say now? My phone buzzed. "David. Mrs. Hartley, I'm outside. Do you have a minute?" I met him on the porch. He was holding a small wrapped box, nervous energy radiating off him. "I wanted to give you this before tomorrow. I know Nicole's dad isn't here to walk her down the aisle. I know you've been both parents to her for a long time." He handed me the box. Inside was a gold locket, engraved with to Margaret, who raised the woman I love. "Thank you, David." Something in me cracked. "David, come inside. We need to talk." I showed him everything. The videos, the audio, the PI reports, the photos of Connor, the financial statements. I watched his face change, watched understanding and then devastation wash over him like a wave. "Tomorrow's our wedding day," he whispered. "I know, and I'm so sorry." He sat on my couch, the same couch where he'd watched football with me, where he'd helped me pick out new curtains last month, where he'd told me about his plans to propose to Nicole on the Oregon coast at sunset. He'd driven 3 hours to get to her favorite beach. He'd carried the ring in his pocket for a week waiting for the perfect moment. "What do I do?" he asked. "That's up to you. But you deserve better than this. You deserve someone who loves you the way you love them." He left an hour later. I didn't know what he'd decided. Saturday morning came. The wedding was at 2 p.m. at a vineyard in Newburgh. I got dressed in the mother of the bride dress Nicole had helped me choose, a soft blue that Richard would have said matched my eyes. I drove to the venue with a lawyer's number programmed into my phone and copies of everything in my purse. The venue was beautiful. Nicole had expensive taste, $20,000 for the venue alone. Flowers everywhere, imported from Ecuador. A string quartet, premium bar. The cake cost $3,000 by itself. I found Nicole in the bridal suite, surrounded by her bridesmaids, Makeup perfect, dress stunning. She looked like every bride's dream version of herself. "Mom, you made it. Can you believe this is actually happening?" I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. Tried to find the little girl who used to bring me dandelions from the yard, who cried when her goldfish died, who'd held my hand at Richard's funeral. She was gone. Or maybe she'd never existed the way I thought she had. The ceremony time arrived. Guests filled the seats. I saw David's parents in the front row, Susan dabbing tears already. I saw Nicole's friends, her colleagues from the hospital. I saw Connor Bradshaw in the back row, wearing a suit, watching with a slight smile. The music started. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle. Nicole took my arm. "Ready to give me away, Mom? I need to tell you something first." We were hidden behind a screen of flowers, out of sight from the guests. The processional music played. Everyone waited. "I know about Connor," I said quietly. "I know about the apartment. I know about the plan. I know everything, Nicole." Her face didn't change for a long moment. Then something flickered. Calculation, not shame, not fear, just math, working out her next move. "Mom, I don't know what you think I have video footage, audio recordings, private investigator reports. David knows too. I showed him yesterday. Now fear. You told David? Mom, you had no right. I had every right. That man loves you. Really loves you. And you were going to destroy him for money." The music continued. Someone peeked around the flowers, confused about the delay. "Mom, please. I can explain. Connor and it's complicated. But I do care about David. I do. And the money thing, you misunderstood. Connor and I were just talking hypothetically. We weren't. Don't lie to me anymore. I've already changed my will. You're not inheriting this house. You're not getting my retirement. You're getting $5,000, the legal minimum Oregon requires. That's it." Her face transformed. The bride mask fell away, and what I saw underneath was cold. "You can't do that. That's my inheritance. Dad worked for that. That house is half mine. Your dad worked for our family. For a daughter he loved. Not for this. Not for whatever you've become. So what? You're just gonna leave everything to charity? To strangers? Better strangers who need it than a daughter who sees her family as a bank account." The music stopped, then started again, uncertain. "Is everything okay?" A wedding coordinator appeared, concerned. "No," I said. "Everything is not okay." I walked away from my daughter, still in her wedding dress, still holding her bouquet. I walked down the aisle alone. David was at the altar, pale but standing. When he saw me, I shook my head slightly. He nodded. "I'm sorry," David said to the crowd, his voice amplified by the microphone. "I'm sorry to do this today, in front of all of you, but this wedding is not happening. Nicole, we need to talk. Privately." The crowd erupted. Gasps, whispers, shocked exclamations. I saw Connor slip out the back. I saw Susan covering her mouth, Tom's arm around her shoulders. I saw Nicole's face appear at the entrance to the aisle, fury and panic mixed together. I left. I drove home. I sat in Richard's study and cried for the first time since I'd received that videographer's call. Patricia called me Sunday afternoon. David's attorney contacted Nicole this morning. They've presented her with evidence of fraud. If she contests the canceled wedding or attempts to seek compensation from David or his family, they'll file criminal charges. She signed a document agreeing never to contact David or his family again. And me? Nicole tried to call you 18 times yesterday. She showed up at your house last night. I have a patrol officer watching your property. The eviction notice has been served. She has 30 days to remove her belongings from your home, and that's only because of Oregon law. She's not permitted to contact you directly. 30 days came and went. Nicole sent her friends to collect her things. Her childhood bedroom, once pink and full of dreams, was emptied in an afternoon. She took her yearbooks, her old trophies, The furniture Richard had built for her. She left the photos of us as a family. I heard through mutual friends that Nicole lost her job. The hospital found out about the fraud attempt, and healthcare positions require ethical standards. Connor left her within a month. Apparently, a disgraced woman with no money wasn't what he'd signed up for. David sent me a card 6 months later. He was dating someone new, a teacher at his nephew's school. He included a photo of them together, both smiling genuinely. "Thank you for your courage," he wrote. "You saved my life." I sold the house in West Lynn a year later. Too many memories, too much space for one person. I bought a small cottage in Manzanita, right on the coast. I can hear the ocean from my bedroom window. I volunteer at the local library, teach ESL to immigrant families, take long walks on the beach with my neighbor's golden retriever. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I could have done something differently. If I'd been too lenient raising Nicole, too focused on making her happy rather than teaching her character. If Richard's death had broken something in her that I'd failed to fix. But mostly, I feel peace. Real peace, for the first time in years. The kind that comes from knowing I did the right thing, even when it was the hardest thing. I never heard from Nicole again. No apology, no explanation, no attempt at reconciliation. Maybe that's for the best. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. And some people love the idea of you, but not you yourself. They love what you can give them, not who you are. I'm 64 now. I watch the sunset over the Pacific Ocean most evenings, a glass of wine in hand, Richard's wedding ring still on my left hand. I think about the life I thought I'd have, and the life I actually got. They're not the same, but this life, this quiet, simple, honest life, is mine. Nobody's using me. Nobody's manipulating me. Nobody's counting the days until I die so they can claim their inheritance. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. There's a difference. And I finally understand what Richard used to say during our hardest years, when we were young parents struggling with bills and sleepless nights and the chaos of raising a child. All you can do is love them and teach them. The rest is up to them. I loved Nicole. I taught her, or tried to. The rest was up to her. She made her choice, and I made mine. The ocean keeps rolling in, indifferent to human drama, constant and clean. I find comfort in that. In the reminder that the world is bigger than our mistakes, bigger than our disappointments, bigger than the family we thought we had but never really did. I sleep well these days, better than I have in years, and when I wake up to the sound of seagulls and crashing waves, I feel something I'd almost forgotten existed. Gratitude. For truth. For courage. For the strength to walk away from beautiful lies and toward an honest life, even if that life looks nothing like the one I'd imagined. Sometimes, that's enough. Sometimes, that's everything.